All right, we're back. This time we're talking about Longlegs. Highly anticipated movie, all the hype, talking about it's the scariest movie in the past decades, etc. and so forth, almost to the point where I wasn't sure I wanted to see it. Reese called the creepy number. And I don't watch trailers, so I genuinely had no idea what to expect. My fiance did watch the trailer, and the fact that she was willing to watch it after watching the trailer made me think maybe it wasn't going to be as crazy as people were billing it. But regardless, I was locked in. I was ready to see whatever I was going to see and keep it moving. This movie starring Nicolas Cage, Maika Monroe, Blair Underwood, Alicia Witt, Michelle Choi-Lee, Kiernan Shipka, directed and written by Perkins. We're gonna pull up these fun facts, and Reese, feel free to jump in if you don't hear what you were hoping to hear. But let's see, trivia, where you at? All right. Despite the praise and acclaim of his portrayal as Longlegs, Nicolas Cage has stated this will be his first and only portrayal of a serial killer for film. In an interview with IndieWire, Cage said, "I know that the phone's going to be ringing off the hook to play serial killers after Longlegs, and that's not really what I like to do. I don't like violence. I don't want to play people who are hurting people." Very interesting to do in the run up to this movie coming out.
Well, financially, he has to do, I think, like 42 movies a year. So he's going to have a hard time avoiding that. But
many of Longlegs' encrypted messages contain misspellings and poor grammar after being decoded. This is an homage to the Zodiac Killer, who was also known for his coded messages containing typos, which often made it more difficult to decode his messages. Nicolas Cage and Oz Perkins made the movie as a tribute to their mothers, which, if I'm one of their mothers, I'm feeling some type of way.
That's wild.
Let's see. Test audiences praised Nicolas Cage's performance and mentioned that he was so off-putting that it could potentially scare viewers off. Oz Perkins thought of only two actors to play the character, Nicolas Cage and Brad Pitt. I could see Brad Pitt doing that.
I could definitely see Brad Pitt doing that.
That'd be dope.
Especially abusing kids, but that's another story. Writer and director Oz Perkins is horror movie royalty. He is the son of Anthony Perkins, the actor who was best known for playing Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, as well as its 3 sequels. That's what you're talking about? Okay. I don't think I knew that.
Oh, I didn't put. I was sitting here like, what could be the connection there? Not realizing his name is Perkins. Damn. Okay.
Yep. Didn't put that together at all. Let's see. Test audiences described the film as having imagery very similar to films such as The Silence of the Lambs, Cure, Zodiac, and Seven. Let's see. Okay. The first official trailer was titled "You've Got the Teeth of the Hydra Upon You," and the other 2 teasers were named Dirty and Sweet, all of which are references to T-Rex's 1971 Bang a Gong, Get It On. Interesting. The end credits scrolled down instead of up. I definitely didn't catch that.
I didn't
either. Let's see. An official 2-minute trailer preceded Civil War and Monkey Man in theaters, which I think I saw both. I saw it in both, but wasn't shown anywhere online. An abridged 1-minute version of the trailer was released shortly after by Neon.
I saw it ahead of Monkey Man. That's when I told you about it.
Right. I think I saw it in front of both of them. Or I'm going to say saw because I turned my head. I saw it in front of one of them and I turned my head in the other one because I didn't know what it was.
Do you purposefully time out not getting there in time?
I used to, but now I got a new theater and I haven't quite gotten the science down on when to leave the house. I've been late trying to do that at this theater, and then like the lines are longer for concessions, so that throws me off too if I'm trying to get anything.
You just standing outside the door, like popping in, like, oh, not yet, not yet.
I've done that. Like I literally will go in and see the credits just started and walk back out. Actually, one time I can't remember what movie it was. I went with my fiance and my stepdaughter, and I just told them I'll be back, or text me when the credits are done, and I'll be back. Let's see. It's the second collaboration between Nicolas Cage and Neon after Pig. The Russian title for the film translates to Soul Collector. That would have been. They probably didn't do that in English because it would have been too similar to Bone Collector.
Yeah, true.
Let's see.
Well, if anybody in 2024 even remembers that movie.
That's the Denzel Washington that people don't remember.
You're right.
The movie had a budget of less than $10 million, which is what it made on opening day. Let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this.
As of right now, it is up to 47.
This is the highest grossing live action Nicolas Cage movie since Ghost Rider.
That is crazy company.
All right. The rest are spoilery, so we'll leave them alone. All right. Anything worth mentioning that I missed?
Not that I can think of.
All right, let's get it. Quick synopsis. Anybody want to do it, or should I do it?
You got it.
All right, quick synopsis of the movie. I don't know why I asked Reese to do it.
I was about to say, I don't know why you asked me.
I should have thrown it to Reese.
I just Googled the synopsis, like, yeah, you know.
Quick synopsis of the movie. I actually don't 100% remember how it began, but essentially there's a serial killer on the loose who's been killing families, and they're trying to figure out how to catch him. The movie follows Lee Harker, who is a young female detective who gets feelings about things, which is displayed to us in that's how it started, which is displayed to us in the early scenes by her. Basically, they're doing a casing. They're going house to house. They're knocking on doors to ask questions. They believe that the serial killer may be in this area, and she just looks at a house and says he's in there. She can't explain why she feels these things, but she feels them. She has these sensations, and so she's brought in to help catch Longlegs. And these sensations get stronger. We get some flashback material that we're not 100% sure how it ties into the story as we go, but we get there eventually. But essentially, she's there to catch Longlegs. Longlegs is still active. He's still doing things. There's a lot of creepy stuff along the way. And essentially, it is a cat and mouse game that then becomes a little bit supernatural near the end. That's as much as I'm willing to say in a synopsis.
Spot on.
All right. Elevator review.
All right, let me catch my breath. Let me try to get it down. All right. My elevator review. Don't listen to the whole, like, this is the scariest movie of all time. I don't know. Nothing ever lives up to that hype. But this movie scratches an itch of just a good, creepy vibe. And like you said, very Silence of the Lambs, very Seven. If you enjoy those kind of movies, you have to go see this.
Definitely a good crime thriller with potential supernatural entities involved. Not a lot of jump scares, if any, in this movie. It is not trying to scare you. It is trying to creep you out. Mm-hmm. And it does that.
It does a good job of that.
Effectively. And if you like crime stories, it gives you that too.
Yeah, I can't even think of another movie like in the same, like, you have to go back to like Zodiac almost. I feel like I can't think of another movie that, like I said, it's a very specific itch that it scratched for me that I can't remember when the last time something did that really. Maybe almost, it's not a great example or comparison, but almost like a Hereditary, where you're just like, I'm not scared, but I'm very creeped out.
Definitely that vibe that what's the weirdo Ari Aster gave you in his movies, where the movie builds upon itself as far as the creepiness, and but basically you're dragged into a point where you can't get out. Like, you're just stuck having to get to the end of the story at that point, and then it leaves you with some stuff to think about at the end, which is dope.
Side note, but you mentioned Ari Aster. Did either of y'all ever watch the strange thing about the Johnsons?
I refuse to.
I will not watch that movie.
I saw someone. I mean, you see it a lot, but someone's like, between that, Hereditary, Midsommar, like we really need to look into this, man.
That dude.
If you didn't watch if you watch Beau is Afraid, you will fully understand everything. And by that, I mean you will never want to watch any of his movies ever again.
That man is sick.
Something ain't right. Let's see. Non-spoiler combo. Let's get into it, Tyler.
I just did want to mention again real quick. I know that you go out of your way to not see it, but they could not have done a better job with the marketing. Between, like you said, the phone number that Reese called, the trailers were I don't feel like they really gave anything away or anything.
When I watched it, I had no idea what it was about.
Right, you have no idea. They go very far their way to not show what Nicolas Cage, what Longlegs looks like. So much so that Maika Monroe didn't see him until there's a specific scene we'll get into later. But she hadn't seen him until that point. And part of the marketing was they showed her heart rate when seeing him for the first time. Like the week of the movie, they put that out. It was just Maika Monroe's heart rate seeing Longlegs for the first time.
That was the first trailer I showed because I didn't know what to click. So I just showed her that and she was like, this ain't really a trailer. This is just showing her heart rate. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and even then, I think they waited till like the week of or the week before to put that out. It's like they killed it. I can't remember a marketing job this good in a long time.
So
maybe like Smile, if that would count. There
is a fun fact about this. Longlegs had a popular social media marketing campaign, which went viral and included billboards with nothing but the phone number 458-666-43555, which led to a recorded message of the titular character saying, "I'll be waiting." If the number was called before the release, or singing "Happy Birthday" if the number was called after the release, which I did not do. A series of short videos containing ciphers, a series of images on Instagram, a fake website for the in-movie murder cases, which is interesting. I didn't know about that. It has photos and case details. It's called The Birthday Murders is the website, all together, of course. And an ARG or alternate reality game requiring fans to use the above, the website, to solve puzzles and codes to obtain passwords to open downloadable files. Again, I didn't even know about this last couple of things.
If they didn't even have that big of a budget and they put this much emphasis on marketing, like that's wild. Cinema's back. We're marketing stuff again. We're back.
That is all dope. And my degree was obtained to do this kind of stuff. So I love when I hear things like that.
Yet you go so far to your way to not
it's like I don't want to learn from anybody. I gotta do it on my own. But the idea of marketing films creatively is fun. I like that. So thank you for bringing that up. Non-spoiler conversation. Did you want to start?
No, you got it. I want to see where you start with it.
All right. So again, I think we've kind of said it. We enjoyed the ride. I thought Lee Harker as a character was initially, I wasn't sure how to read her, but as the movie goes along, we do understand her a bit better. Her relationship with her mother is definitely an important part of the film. It starts you out by questioning the relationship and then gives you all the answers by the end. The flashbacks, you're not sure if she's in these flashbacks or not. You get your confirmation by the end as well. The Blair Underwood character is a nice detective that felt realistic.
Blair Underwood killed it, by the way.
Especially by the end. The Blair Underwood character is very important to the movie. And I don't know, just the pacing, the aesthetic, the vibes, the music, like everything is designed to kind of lure you and weave you into this nest. And then if you're really paying attention, there's a lot of small visual things that the movie does that I thought were really dope as well. Like well executed visions from start to finish on this movie.
Remind me to bring that up later. Because I saw a stat on that. But
okay.
The vibes were in fact immaculate. I mean, just from it could not have been better in terms of pacing. It's never not gray. It's very like just you feel on edge and creepy the whole time. It's set in the 90s and it feels perfect 90s like winter. It was perfect. No less than 5 different times, even early in the movie, kept looking at my date and was like, I love this movie so much. I love everything about it. It feels incredible. Like I loved it.
And I think you mentioned the 90s vibe. It gives you that information without them having to say something weird necessarily. Like they give you timelines. There's a picture of Bill Clinton in Blair Underwood's office, stuff like that.
My dumbass Googled it before that, but I was like, when is this set?
But yeah, they definitely give you the information. They give you timelines. It doesn't hold back when stuff is going off. I've mentioned that there's not really any jump scares. It feels like some stuff happens in movies to shock you. Stuff happens, but it happens, like I said, in a way, it felt realistic. Like it felt genuinely like you could be there and this is how 100%. This would go down.
The couple jump scares there are very organic. They're earned. Right. Yes, I 1000% agree with that.
Right. And then I think there's some stuff that the Lee Harker character does in this movie that, like, if you listen to a horror movie review, I hate when characters don't act like real people. But there's a couple of things in here that she does that I could have felt like that, but because they did enough to make me understand who she is, it made sense in the end that she would respond this way to certain things. And then, like I said, by the end, I don't know. I genuinely enjoyed the final 5-10 minutes of the movie in a way that like that elevated the movie, and we'll get into that when we get into our reviews.
To that point, it's even this isn't spoiler, but it's split up. All movies are first, middle, final act or whatever, but it tells us when we're going to each act.
Yep.
And each act on its own felt so good to me. Like at no point did I think like, oh, this is kind of a, I could have done without this, or like I thought each act alone was every bit as good as the other one was.
It didn't feel like there was a setup period. It was all building upon itself.
I have very, very, very few complaints about this movie. I can only think of like one major one off the top, and I don't even I think this is very intentional. One, it's Nick Cage, and you feel about Nick Cage how you do. There were just a couple, like he was very, very creepy. Longlegs is very creepy, but there was a couple times where it's like you let him go just a little too far. But maybe that's intentional. But there was a couple times where it's like we're this close to being just creepy, but now we're goofy.
And like you said, I do think that it was intentional. Interestingly, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. Interestingly, I don't know. He's not the scariest part of the movie.
He is not.
At all. Super creepy.
Very creepy.
But there are scarier things in this movie than him.
I agree with that.
And
I bet I do bet though, I would love to see how many like deleted scenes or just things were cut out where he was super goofy. And they're like, no, we got to tone that back a little bit. I would like to see just like all the different takes of him throughout the filming process.
Just kind of went and they were like, all right, we're going to cut that out later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I'm a crime thriller person at the end of the day. And this gave me everything I could have asked for. Even with the supernatural elements, it didn't feel over the top to where it took away from the movie in any way.
My question would be, could we keep talking about like more creepy than scary, maybe more crime or like than like traditional horror, but would you feel comfortable recommending it to someone that doesn't do horror very well? Because I don't know. I think it still checks enough of those boxes that if I knew you didn't like horror, or I knew you didn't handle it well, I would maybe have a harder time. I don't know. It's tough to say.
It's definitely like I'm trying to think of what's the movie with not Jake Gyllenhaal, with Ryan Gosling. Is it
Driver?
Oh, yes. Drive. Yeah.
Driver. Like that's not a horror movie. It has some like gruesome death scenes. And so this movie has that as well. And so if you can watch a dark R-rated movie that's violent, I think you can handle this.
I would say, I mean, if you can do Zodiac, I think it's probably more than Zodiac, but if you can do Silence of the Lambs, you can do this.
I want to see what the genre...
That being said, though, I always claim Silence of the Lambs as a horror movie. I don't know if it is or isn't, but I claim it as one. Anything I can claim as horror, I'm going to do it.
I don't see how that isn't a horror movie.
So the genre breakdown, they went all out with this one. First is psychological horror, then psychological thriller, serial killer is third, supernatural horror fourth, crime, horror, and then thriller.
If they made you only pick one of those, how would you classify it?
I would go...
It's between psychological thriller and psychological horror, probably. Or I guess just serial killer, but I don't
think it's a psychological thriller to me, personally. I'm going serial killer, supernatural horror.
Okay. Would go psychological horror. I don't know. It's tough to say.
I don't know. Let me look at the definition of psychological horror.
I will say, didn't Jordan Peele really specify that Get Out?
They have Get Out psychological horror.
And it's not Get Out. It's not in any way, shape, or form Get Out.
They have Smile as psychological horror. So I guess like the horror that messes with your mind, and I guess it does technically check that box if you think about it. And I can't say why, but...
Should we take the next 10 minutes to talk about how Get Out's the greatest film ever made? Or
So I'm going to read what it defines psychological horror as on IMDb. The psychological horror subgenre features psychological tension, fear, and suspense to evoke feelings of dread and unease in the audience. Rather than relying solely on graphic violence or jump scares, psychological horror focuses on the psychological and emotional experiences of characters, often exploring their inner fears, anxieties, and perceptions. So I do think
that feels spot on to me.
Yeah, for Lee Harker, it's definitely a psychological horror. So I
think so.
I can get on board with that.
Anyway, sorry to get a sidetrack. I got to do it at least once.
Not mad at it. Not much really else that we could say in a non-spoiler.
No.
So Reese, if you want to tap out, did you hear anything that you didn't need to hear? Did that help you any? Like, how you feeling?
Nah, it was cool. Nothing that spoiled me or changed my mind about anything. I still plan on seeing it. I still have the same thoughts going into it as I did before. So you'll know. I'll report back on the episode of The Mavs Outsiders when I finally seen it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm mainly seeing it because my girlfriend wants to see it, but she be bullshitting a lot. So if I have to go without her, I will. If it comes down to that, I just won't tell her. But yeah, I'm gonna tap out here so I don't get spoiled. It was fun doing this again with y'all. It's fun to have the Have You Seen podcast back.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the next review. Deadpool and Wolverine. But until then, I'll holler at you. Peace out, Tyler.
Dude, man, I've been waiting to get to do something with you again. So this was a lot of fun.
This was fun. I think we've only done one other one together.
I think so. One or two. Yeah.
Batman.
We did the Batman together.
Batman. Yeah.
And then I've been on Outsiders with y'all. But as far as this goes, I think just one or two.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Looking forward to more, but y'all get into y'all spoilers, and I'm gonna tap out.
All right, appreciate you coming on. Take it easy.
See you, man.
All right, so about these spoilers, all right, let's get into these spoilers. Where do you want to start? I'm thinking Lee Harker.
Yeah, so there's both, I guess, a cold open, and then right after, you can't talk about the open without talking about spoilers, but there is the cold open of it's in the 70s, right. And you get Longlegs. A little girl experiences Longlegs, I guess, right. And then we go straight to present day, and like you're saying, they're canvassing houses, and we immediately learn that Lee Harker has some type of psychic ability. To me, it felt very and then I saw other people talk about this, so I felt kind of validated there. But it felt very Stephen King world, like universe related, like almost like an
Like
extent
the Black
of The
Phone.
Shining or something, or like the Black Phone.
Yeah,
Did. But
yeah.
it's almost felt like maybe she has The Shining, or maybe that's like in this universe, and she can't explain it, but she's like, we need to look in that house.
Mm-hmm.
And we get kind of our first, I don't know if it's a jump scare, but like there was an audible gasp throughout the theater of
Shocking moment.
uh-huh.
It was funny. Like me and my fiance both were like, "Oh, he's about to die. Like for sure, he's gone." Now, did we expect?
Why are y'all not going in there together?
Right. Like she's hanging back. He's going over here all cavalierly. Like I think we both decided he was dead before they even left the like office. Like as soon as we see him, like, oh, he's not making it. But yeah, that happened very quickly and abruptly. And then her calmness that with which she entered the home after that, I don't know, it kind of made me nervous that she might be involved in some way.
Didn't call for backup. That was notable. She just like casually busted in.
We talked about that too. Like, why didn't she call for backup before she went in there? And then we decided maybe she did off screen. Who knows?
Maybe she did. But like, they know y'all are out canvassing. So like, they're
right.
I'm not saying expecting backup to be called, but like, you can call for backup. They'll be ready to roll.
People are out. They're ready to respond. So, but she goes in there and the dude like gives himself up or whatever. And the thing that we jump to her being introduced to or Blair in the Woods character, explaining to her the Longlegs lore or what have you. And basically he's bringing her on because he's heard the stories about her. And his partner, I guess, or who's the person he's with? There's somebody else in the car. Is it the?
Oh yeah, I guess that is his partner.
So she's like questioning whether or not she's ready for this type of situation, and he's
Agent like, Browning.
We gotta do what we gotta do. And I heard the stories. I'm trying to see it in action, and so. She dives right in, and according to Blair Underwood's character, dives in maybe too much because she falls asleep looking at these graphic photos and stuff. I was concerned that she somehow was going to be part of this situation based on how these first few scenes went. My
initial thought was, is she the little girl from the cold open?
Right.
That was my initial thought. Because like that works out on a time period thing. And you could be just showing us that to show us how long Longlegs has been in this. But like it was a little blonde girl. I don't know. That was my initial thought. Like, is that what's drawing her to all of this?
I definitely thought that was her as a little girl. And then the question becomes, why is she still here?
Right.
If she ran into Longlegs. And so my thinking was, is she Longlegs now? Like, has she taken over the mantle? And are we going to learn that later in the movie? But as far as leaving the suspense, the questioning of what's her tie to this, I thought it paced itself perfectly on that front.
It for sure does. It does a very good job of that.
And we've seen movies, I guess, before where a killer like let somebody go or whatever the case may be, and then still like talks to them, whatever. So it shifted for me to that at some point. But again, initially I was like, is she involved somehow? Like, is she somehow connected to these crimes?
Yeah, I will say there. One thing I wanted to make sure we got to, you had mentioned her being kind of not acting like a person in a movie would, but like she's very awkward. She's very just kind of off, a little weird. But then we meet her mom and we're like, well, I get it now. Her mom's very off. Her mom's very weird. And if that's, if you grew up in a household with only that, like I could see how you would also be an awkward little guy.
Yeah, we listened to the phone calls between her and her mom and it's like, okay, this is just how they are. And my fiance diagnosed it quickly with the mom being super religious as to being part of why she's who she is and how she is as well.
Because it's almost like I would liken that, again, I didn't think about it till this moment, but Stephen King universe, it's almost like Carrie, the relationship with her and her mom. Carrie's also just kind of an outcast, kind of different, and her mom's super, super religious. That's like she grew up with just her mom, overly religious. So yeah, it's another good connection.
Okay. So Did your feelings about the character at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie change dramatically at all?
In what sense?
In any sense, because for me, I was bored with her early on.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know if I can watch this character for the duration of this movie with her being as dry as she is. But then she starts to make some like jokes and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I was definitely pulling for her by the end, and I don't know. I felt like she did emote, if you will, more.
100%. 100%. That's a good point. She very much does. Yeah, I couldn't have been more attached to her I guess the entire time, because if nothing else, that's Maika Monroe to us. That's It Follows. About to get a sequel to that. We also saw her in what was that? The Watcher?
Watcher, was it Watcher? There were two movies that came out with like the same names.
That was a Shudder movie you and I both really enjoyed. But so if for nothing else, I was very connected to her for that. But yeah, by the end of the movie, I mean, I can't let something happen to this woman. I need her to thrive.
So we talked about Nicolas Cage and his portrayal.
What did you think of sorry.
Go ahead. I was
going to ask what you thought of, because I think if we're not that we're going in chronological order, but we're kind of starting to get to the point where we start seeing his letters and things of that nature. What did you feel about like the Zodiac killer aspect of all of that?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting that he's leaving these letters and they haven't been able to decipher them. And then when she comes along and she deciphers them so quickly, I was like, there's no way they're not going to think she's involved in some way. Yep. I thought that was where it was going to go, with them like accusing her or like sidelining her to make sure. Didn't end up going there, but like the fact that she's like solving the cipher so quickly and casually. And then the piece where I don't think she gave them the letter that she got.
I don't think she does. She gets that letter. I had a little bit of a problem with that, only because we know she's super smart and we know she may or may not be psychic. How did she that easily get lured out of her own house? Because for the way he left that letter, she sees something outside. Right. Or even, was there a knock on the door? I don't remember the order of it, but like she gets a knock on the door, she sees something outside and just immediately follows it, and then turns around to see that someone's in her house and has dropped off this letter. I was like, I don't think she'd have got tricked like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, and again, we talked about this when we were watching the movie, and this is definitely one of those movies where if you're with somebody, you're gonna be talking to them. So much glass in the house, all the windows are wide open. And like,
yeah, you did not have to leave your house.
She took her eyes off the prize like multiple times. It's like, if you're gonna like trace this thing from one side to the other, like keep looking out the gigantic windows that you have.
There's never been a better house to keep an eye on someone from within your house. I do say we already talked about it, but like, dude, there was so many times where just the shot alone, I like looked over at who I was with and it's like, I love this movie. Like, it's just shot beautifully. The cold open, literally cold because it's snowing. Yeah. That was beautiful. That scene where she's looking outside, but then she gets outside the house and she's looking back in the house. That was beautiful. Like, They couldn't have shot it better.
Yeah, they definitely did a good job with that. It did. The only thing that annoyed me was the fact that she took her eye off the ball a couple times. But other than that, like, brilliant scenes. I also questioned how comfortable she was coming back into the house after, but she heard the door close and I guess just accepted. And then it didn't linger there. After she gets the call, she kind of heads in.
Did you have any problem with her not telling them about the letter? And yes. Or did you ever feel like, I don't know, because I can spoil whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In the letter, we find out her birthday is the 14th.
Right.
Which, for anyone, if you've made it this far, you know, but he's killing families whose daughter has a birthday on the 14th. And I think she had already pieced that together herself. Right. But we find out that her birthday's the 14th, and the letter says not to open till the 13th or the 14th, and it says happy birthday. But did you ever feel like
Blair Underwood is the one that told her the daughter's birthdays are on the 14th.
Yes, you're right.
They were confused about when the murders were happening, and she used the letter she got to figure out the cipher and figure out the pattern.
Yeah, she figured out within a 6-day span.
Right. Either 6 days on the other end or 6 days on the back end.
So did you feel like if he wanted her dead, he'd have done it already? Or did you feel like, oh, he's setting her up to like, it's going to get within that time range?
It felt like, yeah, he was definitely setting her up to be like a victim at some point. Like, I couldn't tell if it was a situation where something happened that prevented him from doing it when she was a kid and now he's spinning the block on her, or what the situation was. So, but I definitely had a problem with her not sharing that letter.
I did too. I was like, he's coming within this time. Like, this is your chance to let them, like, we can all figure this out. I don't have to die. I had a big problem with that. I was like, what are we doing?
But even then, it felt like, does she know she's safe for some reason? And so I had to question that too.
Yeah. Now, I was shocked, which you had not seen the trailer, so it wouldn't have been near as shocking to you. I did not realize he would be caught as early as he was. I thought that was going to come down. Now, in the trailer, it did show us that scene of her walking into the room and seeing him. So we know, if you've seen the trailer, we do know that he gets caught at some point, and that they have they kind of portray it as if it's going to be a Clarice Starling, Hannibal Lecter. We're interacting a lot with each other, but I didn't realize. I mean, it was midway, maybe the back half, but like it wasn't.
It was about 2/3.
It wasn't the final third, I don't think, or it may have been, but
it was about 2/3 into the movie, I think.
Okay. Oh yeah, I guess it's literally the end of that second act. Okay, that's fair.
It's in that range. So I think for me, I expected him to be a more integral part to what was happening. I think the fact that, one, he wasn't hands-on with what he was doing was a surprise. And then, like you said, the fact that he ends up not really even being the biggest villain in the movie as far as like actual dirty work. It ends up being the mother, which I thought was brilliant, first of all.
That was brilliant.
It made sense when we get the history of what occurred from Longlegs and then from her as well.
I did pick up on that, but it was right at the last possible. It was so at this point in the movie, he's already killed himself, and she's going back to her mom's house because they want to bring her in for questioning. It was when they pulled up at the mom's house that I was like, oh, she's the accomplice, isn't she? But obviously at that point, I still hadn't been like, this is why. But yeah, I didn't have to see her with a gun before I was like, oh, it's her. The second they drove back to her house, I was like, I leaned over, I was like, I bet it was the mom.
The previous time when she went to visit her mom, just based on the way the mom was acting and some of the stuff that she said, I was like, she made some sort of deal that somehow ties her to Longlegs in some way. I wasn't exactly sure what the dynamic was, but I remember they kept bringing up the fact that someone was being let into the house that the family trusted. And so then that's where I kind of made that tie. And so when they're going back to the house, I was like, why is this woman sitting in the car? Why aren't they together? I was stressed.
The whole movie, she keeps asking her, oh, that's not good things. And like, are you saying your prayers? And then she does have that moment where she's like, are you still saying your prayers? And she's like, I've never said my prayers. And she laughs her ass off and is like, yeah, they don't do anything. It's like,
It was clear she was off at that point.
Yeah. That scene you were talking about, though, where the agent sitting in the car, God, that ruled. That's one of my favorite scenes in a movie in a minute. That was another one where the theater audibly gasped. You see her in the rearview mirror, and everyone's like that was good.
I think for me, it didn't hit like that. The part that
me and you were expecting her to be involved at this point.
Oh yeah, at that point, like as soon as she doesn't get out of the car, I was like, okay, she's dead. R.I.P. Like that's pretty much. That's
how I know we have wild ADHD, though. Pattern recognition. Me and you are like, oh, she's about to kill her, and everyone else sees it and is like, oh God.
Like I was like, please get out of the car. Please get. Okay, all right. Okay, so how is she gonna get her? Because and then as soon as she like pops up in the back with the gun, I was like.
Now I do think it's excusable because you're trying to get your mom to come in for questioning. Let's not immediately bring in backup. Like she shouldn't need backup. I'll just be here. So I guess it's excusable. But yeah, I had for sure the same thought. Like, oh, she not making it out of this.
The fact that she walked to the other side of the car to get the symmetry shot, that was crazy though. That was a lot.
I had a lot of. You were talking about like, is she involved? Is she Longlegs? I did have a thought where. One, we've already seen one of her partners die in the opening scene. And now another agent she's with, like she's gonna have a very hard time explaining this.
Exactly. Especially with it being her mom, like I would imagine people are going to be suspicious. But then again, how the movie ends, what's your interpretation of that ending?
I was gonna ask you, I guess we're led to believe that she taking on the role of her mother now to protect the way the mom spends her life protecting her daughter. Is she taking the agent's daughter and like, I'll do what I got to do to protect her? Or what do you think?
I feel like she stared at the doll too long, and Longlegs got her. Like he's in
the
there.
Daughter or Maika Monroe?
Maika Monroe.
Okay.
I feel like
maybe
she is now, because remember, after the mom kills the woman, she shoots the doll, the smoke comes out of it,
mm-hmm.
She falls out, and so she was free. The mom said, like, you're free now. But I think when she goes into that house and she stares at that doll, he's back in there.
Okay. I could very well. So I kind of took it. So do you think she's Longlegs now, or do you just think she's under that trance again?
That's where the mystery comes in. It's like, I don't know if she can make the dolls. I don't know if she has that knowledge.
Right. That was my only issue, is like, because I kind of halfway think she might be taking on the mom role because she knows that it's way too late for this little girl. I've got to protect her somehow, though.
But I thought she was going to shoot the doll, and then
should have just shot the doll immediately. Should have shot the doll.
The fact that she couldn't take her eyes off of it and like her voice trails off, I was like, she took too long and now she's locked in.
Yeah, probably.
And the girl already was locked in on the doll.
All right, we're talking about the dolls. Did you have any issue with that?
No, I think that we kind of get an explanation for.
We kind of do.
He puts himself in the doll, and he's controlling them with it. So, all right, even though he's gone, he's still in that doll. And in that doll, whatever essence, whatever, he was able to influence Blair Underwood's character to do what he did, even though he's gone.
That part of it was good. That is a mystery for most of the movie. We established he's not going into these houses, but how is all of this happening? How is he? And then even then, he's the creepiest person on earth. How is he getting the doll in there? Like, that was all I thought done pretty well in the mystery of it all.
I think
so it is wild. We only see him outside that cold open. We see him interact with one other girl at like a store, but I don't think anything happens to them. So we don't really see him interact with anyone. Nothing
at all. For whatever reason, he was very specific about his targets. Other than that, he was just a creepy old dude out here in the streets. Mm-hmm. My fiance called Blair Underwood being a victim as soon as she met the family. Like, oh yeah,
I didn't. I saw people on Twitter saying like, as soon as we go to that house and see a happy family, someone was like, "Oh, this is what we're doing."
Yeah, and then I think when the girl brings up her birthday, that kind of cemented it.
Yeah, and she said, "Are you going to be at my birthday?" And she just makes a comment like, "Yeah, I'll be there."
Yeah.
So do you think she's? I was going to ask, do you think she somehow in the very back of her head knew that I'll be drawn to this place at some point? Like, I will be there?
Yeah. Looking back, that could have been a thing. And the fact that we know she's tied to him in that way, she may not even realize that that's why she was saying that. I think the question of, is she Longlegs now, is a good one. And even if she's not him, she can't make the dolls. Is she under this trance, this demonic trance or whatever? What happens next? Like, is she's not herself, clearly, and the little girl is definitely not herself. So what happens after this? What's the next scene?
Yeah, your theory makes more sense than mine, because in my head I was like, oh, she's just got to protect this little girl the way her mom protected her. But again, like you're saying, they can't make more dolls, or she doesn't know how to do that. So yours does make more sense. What does? I mean,
like, is the doll
it sounds like it's going to be a bleak ending.
I was going to say, is like the doll version of Longlegs, is he just telling the story from here on out? Is he just like, is he speaking to her through the doll? Like, what was that movie with the doll?
Oh, maybe. I mean, Chucky is pretty much that.
I guess
that's what Chucky is.
Like, is she just gonna carry this doll around and do its bidding?
Yeah, you've got to if you're him, you've got to have a better end game than like because once I die, no one's gonna be able to make it. So yeah, maybe. But like you said, he's putting a piece of himself in that. So maybe he does get to live through her. I don't know. That's a good question.
And I don't know if we really need an answer to enjoy the movie. So
True. And for all we know, there's been Longlegs for centuries. Maybe he was just that current Longlegs. I don't know.
Yeah. That's really, I'm trying to think. Do you have your one scene that stuck with you, or is gonna stick with you, or stick with people?
I'll give a couple. The cold open we talked about, I thought was really dope. I thought that first scene with her partner, and we see her with the psychic ability, and then the one we talked about where she goes back to her mom's house, and you see her in the, like the rear view mirror. I thought that was super dope.
Okay. I'm gonna say Longlegs off in himself. He's definitely gonna stick with people.
Oh, true. It reminded me of something very specific. Oh, it reminds me of the scene in Hereditary where Alex Wolff, the older brother, he's banging his head on the desk. Yeah, that's what it was.
And he's in A Quiet Place Day One, in a very different role. And did you see Talk to Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was in the Talk to Me has a scene like that too.
You and I reviewed Talk to Me.
I was gonna say, did we review that together? Because I couldn't remember the timeline of when it came out.
Yeah, we did.
Let's see, what's another good one? That's really the main one for me. I think obviously the mother murder scene is a big one, and then really the Blair Underwood turn was great.
That was great.
It was comedic too at the same time, because like the mom explains, and this is weird, when they're sitting on the couch, Blair Underwood and his wife, the wife like chokes at one point, and the mom kind of explains like she's already dead. Like that, the murder has already occurred as far as they're concerned, which was weird. But then like they talk about going to the kitchen to get the cake, and she says, "We'll be right back." And Blair Underwood's character is like, "Well, I'll be right back. You won't be back.
You'll still be in the kitchen."
You'll still be in the kitchen.
It's
like, oh man, like this is crazy.
Yeah, if you didn't see all that coming beforehand, it's unfolding in front of your eyes, and you're like, "Oh no, please find a way to stop this."
Yeah, and like,
I guess the only thing she could have done to stop all of it was if she could have immediately shot Blair Underwood and hoped the wife didn't die. But the mom's already told her, like, "Hey, that woman's dead. Like, don't even bother."
Right. And I think for me, the only thing now that I'm thinking about it that bothered me is she sees her mom shoot the doll. Why didn't she just shoot that doll?
Yeah, just immediately shoot the doll.
And the only thing I could think is after her mom shoots the doll, she kind of passes out and wakes up in the basement, which also shows us when the mom's talking about the man downstairs or whatever, he was living in their basement.
That was maybe the biggest reveal of the movie to me. When she wakes up in the basement and you realize, oh my God, he's been in the house the entire time.
Right.
That was a great reveal. That was foreshadowed too, because way earlier in the movie, she tries to open that door and can't. It's locked. And she's trying to find a key to it. And her mom like prevents her from, so I guess that was kind of foreshadowed as well. But yeah, that was maybe the big, because again, I was kind of able to pick up on the others. So that was the first thing that to me was like, oh shit, I didn't know he was in the house the whole time.
She didn't know her whole childhood this man was down there. That's interesting.
That's horrifying. Can you imagine that dude living in your house?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Have you ever seen, I'm sure you have, I don't remember where it was, but you see it all the time on like Twitter and TikTok, but someone found out through like security footage that a woman had been living in their house for like a whole month, and she would only sneak into the kitchen at night and just eat enough food to just like stay alive. And she'd like get up and use the bathroom during the day when they were gone at work. It's like that, but with long legs.
I don't know what I would do in that situation. There's a movie I watched recently about some kids that did that, where they like lived in the attic or whatever. I wish I remembered the name of it. You ready to get into these reviews?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to do your score, or you want to just go through the chart?
I will give my score. It's the highest movie I've given in a long time. I have it at I can't go lower than a 9, and I could almost talk myself into a 9.5, maybe. Like I said, other than just Nick Cage being a little over the top, which again is probably on purpose, I don't have really a single complaint about this movie. I thought just from we've said it 1,000 times, but just from the pacing to the aesthetic to the overall, even after Longlegs has died, there's still this very creepy, like, well, now what? Like, it was never not creepy. You're never not on the edge of your seat. I have almost no complaints. Like, it very well will be my favorite movie of the year. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I got to go a 9, maybe even a 9.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking 4.5 myself off the dome. But we're gonna see how I come out on this rating scale. First question: did they accomplish what they set out to do with this movie?
Absolutely. I can't think of any reason why it would be less. I'm trying to think of a reason why to not give that a 5. And unless you've got some argument, I'm willing to hear out arguments for sure. But unless you've got something, I think I'm going to go 5.
My only hesitation was the way that people talked about it being the scariest movie of the year, but I don't know if that's necessarily what they set out to do when they made the movie.
That's a good point.
That against them.
That's a good point, because it is not the scariest movie you've ever seen by any means. It's not even super scared. There's one Longlegs jump scare in the whole movie, I think.
Yeah,
and I don't even remember when that takes place, but yeah, there's not. I mean, it's not overly scary. So I hate when we do that. I hate it happens once a year, once every other year. This is the scariest movie you've ever seen, and it's never, ever, ever the scariest movie you've ever seen. But this didn't need to be. I mean, I guess it needed to be marketed that way to get all of us to go see it. But I mean, I don't need that to be the selling point, because it's such a good movie.
I could have just said it was a really good movie. I didn't need to know it was the scariest movie.
Right.
Overall entertainment value or recommendability. Going in, I thought this was going to easily be something that was going to be hard to recommend to people, but been recommended it to people.
Yeah. I asked you that question earlier, if you could recommend it to people. And I have since then. There's been multiple people that asked me beforehand that I was like, you don't want those problems. You're not a horror movie person like that. You probably need to sit this one out. And since I've come back, I'm like, I think you can go see that. Yeah.
So I'm going 4 on this one, just because it does have a lot of blood, and also some people don't like demonic stuff, which we didn't talk about.
That's a good point. A lot of people do have problem with anything like demonic or religious or spirit, like in a negative way. So that is I wanted to say 5, but that does drop it to a 4.
Okay. And going back to that, there's a couple scenes where I want to say the scene where she closes the door to Blair Underwood's house. You see the image of the devil on the door, and there's another scene prior to that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
That's what earlier I said, remind me. Apparently, I saw someone tweet this, so I noticed 5 or 6 of them throughout the movie, but I meant to bookmark this tweet. I saw someone who had tweeted the same thing, like they thought there was 5 or 6, and they said apparently there are like 16 or 17.
Where the devil pops up?
Mm-hmm. Just images of the devil, or like horns and stuff like that. You'll see it in the background of stuff. Yeah, they're apparently, like I said, I caught 5 or 6, 4, 5, 6, something like that throughout the movie, but apparently there's way more than that.
Okay. Yeah, I only saw maybe a handful, and like 2 very prominent ones near the end. So that is interesting.
Real quick, before we finish this, rewatchability is not one of your ratings.
It's not.
Maybe
it could be.
I'm going to end up watching this movie a dozen times, dude. I will rewatch the hell out of this movie.
I want to change. I'm going to actually add that to the entertainment value, recommendability, or rewatchability.
Yeah, I will be rewatching the hell out of this.
Yeah, so that's definitely one I will revisit as well. Emotional connection to the story or the character, like were you pulled in emotionally? Did it affect you in that way?
Yes, because you did mention earlier, like Maika Monroe's character at first is probably kind of hard to get that connected to. But again, like even after we've seen Longlegs die, we're maybe more interested now to see what happens. And I did make the comment, I was like, I can't let something happen to this woman. So I mean, at least a 4.
I have to go 4 as well. I was trying to decide if I could get up to a 5, but I don't think I can. Uh, like I know I was pissed at the end of the movie, but like it wasn't on a level of a Get Out. Uh,
Right.
we didn't get tied pulled in to that degree. We learn about her life, but not in a way that makes us care about where she's going after the fact. I just wanted her to live.
And what might even take away from it a tiny bit for me is by the end of the movie, I care more about the little girl than I care about her. I'm like, oh, what's
Exactly.
going to happen to her now? I think that's
Exactly.
probably why I talked myself into her playing the mom role to protect the little girl. It's just because I don't want the little girl to die. So
And
I might become
that could be a
more
factor
connected to
too.
her.
That could be a factor too. It doesn't have to be the main character. It could be anybody in the story, I guess.
True. That's true.
So you staying at a 4?
I'll stay with a 4.
All right.
Oh, no. You know what? Can I do halves? Can I do 4.5?
I'll let you do a half. I usually
I'll keep it at a 4. I'll keep
four.
it at a 4.
Next thing, X Factor. Did it great acting, something completely fresh. Where are you going?
I'm going 5. I keep using this specific phrase, but it just scratched an itch for me that has not been like an itch I didn't even know I had. But like it's Silence of the Lambs, it's Zodiac, and because there's so few movies like that, Zodiac, I rewatch the hell out of movies, but I only let myself watch Zodiac once every like 3 or 4 years. And every time I'm like, why do I wait this long? But then what feels like 11 hours later, you're like, oh, this is why. Like I'm constantly going back to that and Silence of the Lambs because there's so few things that like do that for me. And this just got added to that. I will rewatch this up there with Silence of the Lambs and Zodiac.
Okay.
So 5.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to put it as a 5. Like you said, I can't say it did a reinvention of the genre or anything like that, but it is something we haven't seen done well in a long time. And so it was fresh. It was definitely a fresh take on the genre. And I'm definitely locked in on a 5 with the X Factor. I don't know. It didn't necessarily, like you said, it didn't necessarily scratch an itch for me, but it did definitely give me something that I haven't seen in a long time, which was fun. Um, Last thing is, did it keep you on your toes and keep you guessing?
5. Even though, like I said, like you and I kind of picked up what the reveals or the twists or whatever were going to be. But even then, I mean, you and I are sitting here. We still don't know how it ended. Like we still could make arguments for other ways. We kept saying how after Longlegs dies, you're still every bit as locked in. Yeah, it's a 5.
And with that said, I'm definitely going with a 5 there as well. As again, down to the final scene, we're not 100% sure how it's going to play out. Neither one of us saw Longlegs getting caught when he was going to get caught. Neither one of us predicted that the mom was involved. Neither one of us realized Longlegs was in the basement. Like it's impossible to not give it a 5 for the suspense factor. And none of those twists, none of those reveals seems to be like something. I didn't roll my eyes at any of them. I was like, it just adds on to the pile. So we both come out 23 out of 25, so 4.6.
That
the scale.
I'm trying to think of we need to go back and see what we combined They Cloned Tyrone, because this might be the highest movie we've ever rated together.
I want to say that might have been straight 5s.
They Cloned Tyrone may have been straight 5s, or it comes out to like a 48 out of 50 or something. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the highest movies we've ever rated together.
Yeah, I got to find my 2023 list. I didn't actually finish rating the 2023. Have you seen? It would have been season 4, right? I'm gonna see if I can dig through here.
Yeah, that was last summer, right?
They Clone. All right, there we go. They Clone Tyrone. That should be on here. Damn it, what did I do with it? Joel Taylor interview, club scene. Do I not have it here?
I'm getting it sidetracked again. That's my.
No, I'm trying to figure out where I put that stuff. Now I'm annoyed. I remember we did it. Let me see if I can find it in my phone.
But yeah, and I mean, I feel like you and I are usually pretty positive when we start reviewing stuff together. But I mean, to both be at a 23 out of 25, so a combined 46 out of 50. Who we just gave that?
Right. I feel like I had a specific place I put those combined rankings, and now I'm annoyed because I don't know where they are.
Yeah, I'd even started to write them down at one point, and I know there's no way I'd be able to find it.
All right, I'll have to figure that out. But yeah, I want to say we both gave that straight vibes.
Yeah, we may have. We both love that movie.
That one or The Blackening, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, it was one of those.
One of those. It might have been both. Actually,
it may have been both.
I love we were both very high on both of those movies.
I bet I've watched both of them at least 4 times.
I need to.
And they both came out last year.
Yeah, I don't have it on here. I don't know where I put that, but I'll figure it out. Anything we missed, anything we didn't hit that you want to hit?
I can't think of anything. I went on that spill earlier about like we have such a cool era of like scream queens right now, but Maika Monroe she's put herself in that conversation as well. It was really funny though to see. We've seen her play a few different kind of distinct different characters. Like I don't ever feel like she's
I was gonna say,
yeah. But it was funny, especially with this character. I've seen a lot of pictures of her on set where she's like in full character, but she's doing like typical white girl poses and stuff. And it's like really funny to see kind of that disconnect.
Because I was saying that character did not fit that description at all. And I actually like that the character's not traditional or even really likable initially. I like that she's kind of her own thing. Like it's another layer that makes the movie unique, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, while we're talking about her, I saw an interview the other day. I love It Follows. Probably a top 5 of the 2010s for me, for sure a top 10 of the 2010s. But I very much was like, we don't need a sequel to that, and we are getting one. But she, during the press run for this, spoke about it. And she was like, I did not want to do a sequel to that. I was very adamantly against it until they pitched it to me. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is going to rule. So I'm now very excited. I believe it's titled They Follow. But
yeah, it is titled They Follow. I just pulled up her filmography to see. She has that. And then she has a movie called In Cold Light that she's going to be doing. It's an action, crime, drama, thriller.
Oh, I now have to correct myself. I mentioned Screen Queens and didn't throw in maybe the love of my life, Melissa Barrera. So got to add her to that conversation.
I don't know how you brought Melissa Barrera into this, but you found a way.
A dip, yep.
I think that's it. We got a strong 2 hours out of this. I might split it into 2 separate episodes. Nice. But I appreciate you coming in, doing the 2 episodes with me. I think me and Reese are going to do Wolverine and Deadpool.
I'll be locked into that. I'm going Friday night, so I'm pumped to hear what y'all have to say about it.
And then, like, I'll make sure we circle back and see. Do you have a movie in mind for what we should do next?
No, I mean, if you weren't going to do Deadpool, I was going to throw Deadpool out there, but well, we've got
we might can make it a panel again if you're available next week.
Yeah, I don't want to, invite myself to the party or nothing, but if y'all need or just want a third, I'm always down. I love doing stuff with you and Reese, so.
I'm not mad at it. I'll have to figure out a schedule here. Like I said, I'm just now getting back on track with a lot of this stuff. So
y'all set y'all schedule firmly, and if I can join it, I will. If not, don't let me, adjust y'all schedule or nothing. But
sounds good to me. Well, Tyler, thanks for jumping on again. This was fun. It feels good to be back on the horse.
Sir. It's a great year for horror, and we still got more stuff coming up soon. So we'll find plenty of other reasons to have me on to talk horror movies. For sure. But until next time, folks, peace.